Though, Rob.
Okay.
Perfect, right there. No, too close, too close. A little back, a little further. We have Rob Hauser on here. Should be famous. Wrote The Ballad of Trump a few months ago. Grew up next door to me. You were class of '83, right?
Yes, sir.
6 years older than I am. And we're standing outside. 3 people watching already. Must be the Strathaven contingent. 5 already. And we're outside the Phillies facility here in Clearwater, which is right by where the Hausers now live, Scott and Rob. Scott's back there sort of waking up from his afternoon nap. And Rob is here, and I'm going to join Rob on there because I think the picture is just fine. I'm not that much taller than you, am I? I'll stand a little further back. I think I got a couple inches on you here. All right. Hi. We're live streaming. Scott's going to join us after a little bit. What's this place called? Is it Field or Park?
White House Field.
No, they changed the name. It's what is it? It's weird. It's the Spectrum Field, but I keep thinking of the old Spectrum. All right, hey Scott, I got a question for you. I got a question for you, perfectly related to the Spectrum I just thought of. And I've got a question for you too.
All right. Oh, the Spectrum was the place, huh?
Okay. Favorite memory? Scott waved to the camera. A lot of people haven't seen you for 30 years there, probably. Best concert or best thing you ever went to in the Spectrum?
I would say the indoor tennis. They used to have the indoor tennis, Philadelphia indoor, and that was back when McEnroe was first starting out. I saw McEnroe and Jimmy Connors and all those guys. I'll say that. We were out on the court. We saw McEnroe really up close. He was playing with a wood racket and a headband and everything. It's great.
I couldn't watch tennis. I was fairly good at it, like especially by junior year. You were gone by then. You played on the tennis team too.
Yeah.
But I found it utterly unwhatchable.
Well, back in those days, it was more about the personalities. You know?
That's true.
They were rock stars back then. And McEnroe. What the Spectrum was? Spectrum was a spectacle. Actually, it was a beautiful place to watch anything for that matter.
They don't have intimate arenas like that anymore.
Well, they do, but it was just a special place. It had the outer band, you know. It was very 70s.
It really was.
Yeah.
Featured in Rocky, in fact, as like the pinnacle of indoor arenas.
Right. In fact, somebody interviewed me about the Rocky statue on the steps. Yeah, when they first put it up there, and they were debating whether it was art, whether it should go or not. Yeah, we used to live on 23rd and right off of the Ben Franklin Parkway. When I was going to Temple, we were going to Temple.
Okay.
When we lived there, and they put that up, and it became, a bane of everybody's.
I could see. I mean, I could honestly see how people would have a problem with that.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of cheesy. It's basically the cheesiest thing you could possibly think of.
Well,
Who dedicates a statue of himself?
The Philadelphia Art Museum is, a beautiful, polished, ochre facade, looking like the. It's defiled by a Rocky statue.
I don't know how that ever went up there in the first place.
Well, I don't know if it's still there or not.
Oh no,
I think they put it back.
I think it's by.
I mean, now it's kind of historic. I guess it fits now.
Yeah, a lot of people did go there just to see the statue and run up the steps.
I used to, on Sundays, I used to put on, back in the days of, antiquated Walkmans, you put on your Walkmans and go travel to art museum,
I'm just going to make sure, stand exactly where you are, make sure the picture's okay. Amateurish, no big network here, but better quality. Oh yeah, we're fine. We're more than fine here with this picture.
I did see the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus there, and that'd be fun.
Yeah, I went there. I took my brother there, and all he could talk about was the animals. It was the elephants taking a crap. That was the highlight for him. My parents said, "What did you like best?" When the elephant pooped. I'm sure like 1 out of every 5 people has that experience over there.
Julius Caesar and his Roman triumphs probably had the same problem.
I mean, it's quite a spectacle. You've never seen an elephant do that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's like a horse on steroids.
Yeah.
But I forgot you had a younger brother.
Yeah. He's actually married to someone from Palm Harbor. They don't live down here. Yeah. 1979.
What's his name?
Brett.
Oh, that's
Right.
right. That's right.
Yeah, he married someone from actually right around here. Is that right?
Yeah, that was funny.
Well, it's funny, especially if your last name begins with a T, because then you get 3 T's in a row. Well, you have 2 T's at the end of your first name, but your last name begins with an H. So it's a little.
Back to tennis again. Jimmy Connors had a kid the same year, and his name was Brett. And we thought it was like
I didn't know
that's
that.
right when your brother was born.
Not with Chris Everett, though, either.
No, that was earlier.
Yeah.
He's with supermodel Patty McGuire, who was playing in the year in 1977.
Knows his stuff.
He's still with her.
Do you know the story of where your house was built?
Yes, but it might not be a big interest to the audience.
Okay.
To people who are watching.
Okay, let's
Direct.
Well, no, I'm going to give a quick summary. There were 2 people, like, our house was in the middle of 2 houses, which were built by sisters, so they could, if they didn't get along, yours and the former Stein house, like, there were houses, and you had,
Stein was related to them?
no, the house, like, just on the other side.
Right.
Of there. I'm just calling it the house because I forget these people's names. Like, yours is the Hauser house, and theirs is
Well, I know the
Stein
Stein
house.
house.
Yeah, but I don't remember what the people were actually
Well,
called.
but
Before,
it's
who had it.
I didn't know there were.
Yeah, no, they were.
Related.
Someone told us there was. I was visiting my parents a few months
Well,
ago.
ours was built by 2 sisters, so that's why they
Exactly.
split. They got back-to-back fireplaces and like 2 the houses like splitting up.
Yeah, they had a really. My parents built their house stucco like in the mid '70s, or I guess 1977. But in Rose Valley, where we're all from, there are a lot of unique houses. Yeah, the ghetto. Yeah, kind of was compared to the other houses there.
Well, you guys plowed up those 64 dogwood trees. We were like, oh my
Well,
god.
you guys, your family sold us the property, so it was kind of our right to do it. What did we weren't going to live
We
in.
never totally accepted it.
We weren't going to live in tents, so you guys could keep the gardens the way they originally were. Not that your family built it in the first place. Where was your dad from, by the way? Is he in
He's
Philadelphia?
from Norristown, PA.
Oh, so he's a native Philadelphian. Their mother, I actually have interviewed her on a YouTube video. Dated Elvis. She's from Northwest Alabama.
He's from Corinth,
She was born in Mississippi.
She was born in Mississippi, but then she met Elvis when she was in Sheffield, Alabama.
Yes.
I'm talking like I've ever been there, but I did read the book, which Rob edited. You can look at it. It's called.
Actually,
Wait.
you
How
wrote
about
a lot.
Encounters with the Young Elvis?
Okay, here's a question I wanted to ask Scott. Scott's going to be modest. No. We're here outside the Philly Stadium. The Phillies are terrible. I mean, they're not supposed to be good. They're rebuilding, and they actually didn't even come in last place last year. But you're going to see a lot of people coming in. It's a major part of their life. Being a spectator for the Phillies, a baseball team that plays a 162-game season. One thing I wonder about Scott, because when I was a sophomore in high school, Scott was a senior. He was a key member. Yeah, 2 years ago. The soccer team was a big deal, and Scott was a top player on it, and they won the state championship, and it was a big deal. And the thing I wonder is, did that kind of ruin spectator sports for you? Like, you can't really. You were a champion of the state. Does it become less fun to watch other people? I never had that problem. I don't think you had that problem either.
It didn't really impact me as such. It was what it was, and my big regret was that I got in the last several minutes of the game, I got tripped and got a penalty kick. And usually when you get tripped, you take the penalty kick, and I could have been the savior, which, but I gave it away. I said, somebody else take it, I don't want to do it. And it's always been kind of a regret.
Did the Coach Barr gave you the choice?
Yeah. I said no.
Were you good at
I gave it to
penalty kicking?
Luzak, and he got all the headlines, and he came
Really?
But
From my class, he was a prodigy.
Right.
Yeah. Had a lot of injury problems later on.
actually, I met him on a train going to New York City, and I don't know, years later, and I had a big old beard, and I was like, he looked at me and he's like, his jaw dropped because I looked so changed, but
Well, he's not much older.
I haven't seen him.
When was this?
This was 20 years ago.
Oh, okay.
More. Anyway.
Well, I have a dumb question. I'm not a soccer guy, but wouldn't that automatically, wouldn't you automatically give it to whoever is best at making the penalty kick in that situation?
I wasn't.
So why was it even up to you? Wouldn't it be a no-brainer that you give it to whoever's best?
Well, it probably wasn't. I just submitted to the will of the coach.
Well, you did win the state championship.
But I didn't press the issue, which I could have. I could have said, I don't want to take it. I want to be the person who wins the game. But I just let it go.
Were you a forward, midfielder?
Yeah, striker.
Oh, you were a striker. Did you have like a really big leg?
No,
okay.
no. I just wheedled it in.
The coach probably made the right call.
Yeah.
Just like Shaquille O'Neal shooting free throws.
It's not as bad a situation as my next door neighbor on the other side, who was the goalie in our senior year when they went to the state championship. Blake Strine.
Oh, really?
JP Giacovini was going to another school by then, and Blake sort of got called into service as the starting goalie on the team. Wasn't quite at the same level.
We had a great goalie, Charles McDonald.
Oh, yeah.
He was badass.
Do you still talk to any of those guys? Or?
Yeah, I'm friends with him on the Facebook.
But Charles was like really good, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he was really good. I don't know if he ever went to college and played. I went, failed miserably, but it was more of a behavioral issue. But
things happen.
Really?
Scott partied pretty hard. The ladies, let's just say he did not have a problem attracting the attention of the ladies, I guess you could say.
Never did, but
yeah. Let me ask another question. You've been to Florida how long now, both of you?
Like what, 8 years?
2008, right before the big. We got here right before the big economic meltdown of 2008. It's like right when we got here.
We came down here to take care of our uncle who had
Had the same disease as Dudley Moore. He got PSP.
Oh no, really?
Yeah, actually, give a shout out to that.
Sort of like Lou Gehrig's and Parkinson's combined. So,
Ooh.
yeah.
This is your mother's brother?
Yeah.
Oh. I assume he's passed away since.
Yeah.
Yeah. About 4 or 5 years.
Yeah. And how do you like Florida in comparison to Pennsylvania? Obviously, we lived in a particularly nice area which had some architectural significance, particularly the older houses, which was not ours. But it was Google the arts and crafts movement, Rose Valley, Pennsylvania. It really was a unique, fun place to live. Beautiful.
I'll answer that question.
Okay.
Pennsylvania, at the time that I grew up there, I really didn't appreciate a lot of the beauty of it, just the seasons, the older architecture, the terrain. Since then I've lived in Arizona, I've lived here. I mean, it's great weather, but it's all flat. It's all a lot of new buildings. It doesn't have the new personality or the history that Philadelphia has. I would say Florida, I mean, it's a great place to retire. There's no sales tax, blah, blah, blah. But for working for a living, it's not so great. The wages don't go good. I wouldn't have chose to live here, and I kind of ended up here. But if I was retired and I had all money, I'd be great.
Yeah. What are your feelings about Florida? You've lived a lot of places, though, right?
Oh, man, a lot of places. But
Oh, wait, I got to correct something you said. Arizona is not completely flat. There are a lot of hills there. I mean, I don't know what part you were in, but I mean, you go up north.
Well, Phoenix area is pretty flat.
Okay, but
Well,
if
it's
you
a valley.
go 100 miles, I mean, you can't drive.
Yeah,
you got to drive
it's
300 miles from here
there's
to
the
get anything.
Mogollon Rim. There's we down in Bisbee. It was high desert. It's pretty varied, or very varied. But here, yeah, it's
Always
just
a dead.
The desert. You don't have allergies like I did. See, that's why I have mixed feelings about Rose Valley. Man, that place kills me in spring.
The desert, the humidity's gone up a lot since they put all those golf courses.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, it's gone. It used to be like 12% back in the old days. Now it's like 40.
I did not know that.
yeah. Have you
So
ever
much
flown
artificial
over
water there.
Phoenix? It's like a sea of swimming pools. It's like a greater lake. It's like crazy.
When I first moved there, I thought it looked like Vegas in the desert. That's like another Vegas.
Well, Vegas doesn't look like Vegas anymore.
That's
Vegas has
been there in a while.
expanded quite a bit. Spent a lot of time there.
Oh, you've been there, huh?
I've been there. So I spent some time. I do like it though, but I have a bias toward the dry climate. It just works better for me. I think we're dealing with it a little bit here. South Florida wasn't so bad last week. So you were saying your feelings about Florida versus. I know your mom, by the way, really misses Rose Valley.
Oh, we all do. I mean, growing up in a place like that, which you well know, you live right next to me, but
It's almost like
a magical place.
It's something out of The Hobbit. It's just like when you think of that creek and those bridges, stonework and stuff. You just don't see stuff like
Remember
that.
the old mills? Like,
Yeah.
Still there. Go there.
I know. I mean, it's an incredible, magical, undeniable place, and to be able, to get yanked out of there, when you thought you were going to be there your whole life, it's so much pressing. But I'm older, and what can you do?
In my case, I just go back and visit my parents. They're
Well,
still in the
yeah.
same house, but yeah, no, I mean,
How's
it's
that house
just
holding up, by the way?
pretty good. I mean, it's a little newer than the other ones on there. It's not necessarily the same
It's hard to
architecture.
get sweep up.
I
It's
remember
cleaned up over there.
I
when
used
was in the
to go over
70s.
there, and the workers used to, back in the day, where
Yeah, we watched the
workers
whole
would
thing
drink
go
beer,
on.
like at the end of the shift, and then throw the beer cans down.
Yeah.
And I was collecting beer cans. We used to collect beer cans.
Yeah.
And I remember the smell of sawdust and beer.
Yeah, that would be the case. I wasn't next door to it when the house was being built, but that
He
would be
used to
good.
babysit you, right?
Oh yeah.
He was the smartest kid I ever saw. He knew the capital of every city in the world. And what's the capital of Djibouti?
I did not know Djibouti then. I don't know it now, by the way.
Oh, it's Djibouti.
I know it's called Djibouti, which is always one of my favorite names. But I
Anyway,
couldn't-
you were like 5 years old at the time.
I had some quirks. Oh, here's a question. I forgot what I was going to say. Now that you don't have some quirks too, by the way, Rob. I was gonna. I had a train of thought. See, when I was younger, I would have just kept it. But no, I don't. About Rose Valley. Let me think about this. Most of you have never even heard of Rose Valley. I'm not even sure it appears on a map, but.
It's got the highest
Oh, I was going to say. Of what?
doctors and lawyers.
Well, it's per capita. It used to be like the richest city in the third in the
unless you're gonna count all
Average.
right.
But that was also because it was an average, and I think there were only 900 people living there, and one had like
Yeah,
$300 million.
per
Yeah.
capita.
But the Saul estates, that's all broken up. Like the big estate when you went to between the old mill and the school in Rose Valley,
Oh yeah.
they broke that up into a development.
Like
So,
Road.
yeah, that's how it happens. So second generation doesn't want to keep it, money from it. I was going to say, that the house next to the Medinas, they built a house there. And if you thought our family's house was an eyesore architecturally, you should see that one. It's
Yeah,
not.
that looked like the Kremlin. There's those minaret, those little spires.
Oh, I love that house.
No,
Though.
that was the white one that was across the way.
No, that was the Hender's house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Henderson.
Hender.
Hender?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that was. There were
But
some.
Medina's house is beautiful, and they're, richer than Croesus. I mean, they are just.
You guys are watching them.
And I follow Scott on Facebook, and I shouldn't say where it is, but
Don't give out the exact address, because you might get some stalkers. He's in children's music.
Yeah, it looks like
right.
Yeah, you might have some 9-year-olds stalking his
He's
house.
soon to turn out really well. I mean, I always knew
Yeah, we saw him too.
I don't remember him even being a musician at all growing up.
he wasn't.
Yeah.
I think he got turned on to it in his later teens, and we had kind of fallen out by then. But he was always very creative, and he used to make his own cartoons and everything.
Definitely found his niche. You can probably Google him. Scott Medina, Medina. He's done a lot with children's music,
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah, apparently.
And Rob wrote the song, which you should Google, "The Ballad of Trump." which is quite funny, quite entertaining. It's worth Googling. Just listen to that. But you guys are both big music fans. I know you take music very seriously, and just in terms of appreciation of it.
Yeah, I just kind of speak in terms of music. You know, you can relate your feelings and your current feelings. It's just, but yeah, I'm a student.
What are you listening to now?
Nothing current. I'm a curmudgeon as far as that's concerned. I stay for gold. You know, whether it be good or bad.
So some of your favorites. People are wondering who may have known you. Some of your female admirers from your
Steely Dan.
I've had Steely Dan in my head today. Believe it or not. Yeah. Believe it or not. That's crazy.
The Dan is. But
only group I'm aware of that's named for a dildo.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, it was from.
A lot of people don't know that.
It was Burroughs.
Right.
I can't remember which book.
Actually, I saw a documentary on Steely Dan yesterday. And it was on YouTube and it was broken up, but it was very interesting as to their method. They were like highly evolved musicians, and even at that age, they were very, very thoughtful.
It's very perfectionist.
Yeah.
But I mean, like, to an extreme example, like, they would rehearse, I think, on one.
I think it was like Becker and Fagan wrote the songs and they did these high-powered speakers.
Right.
They had a lot of great guitar players.
And they'd bring in like band after band after band, like, you know, one wouldn't cut it, and they'd play a clip and you'd hear it, and you're like, and then they'd play another one, and then you'd hear the original, and you were like, oh, well, they got it right. But as to your former question,
I want to ask you about Steely Dan in a second. I'm making a mental note, but go on.
but, you know, the Dead is always heartfelt, and especially currently, but what? Yeah, Roger.
What's the best about Steely Dan? Did they play stadiums at all?
No, they never played at all.
I mean, I've seen them in a small hall in New York in Roosevelt. That's the only place I
It's
saw
hard
them.
to reproduce live. So,
Right, I think they had to work out their kinks, but they, it's because they're so complex.
I don't know how that would even work in a stadium or even a big arena. I saw them again, probably a 3,000 person
there's
place.
a lot of backup, a lot of technology.
Oh no, I just bought a ticket. There was no luck involved. This is big.
Well, there may be requiring money to do something.
I don't think it
What
was
is
too
this
bad.
shirt?
Oh, this shirt. Well, you guys have been away from Philadelphia for a while. Oh, Wingador, greatest eater in the history of Wingle. I was in Wingle twice.
Were you?
Yeah. I ate twice. I qualified twice. I can eat a lot of food. I watch my weight pretty well now. I keep pretty vegetable
Those
oriented.
champion eaters were skinny. They got the one, the Chinese girl they called the Black Widow.
Oh yeah, she's been gone for a while. Korean, by the way. Sonia Thomas we're talking about. No, I was in Wing Bowl twice. I qualified 2 out of 3 times.
Really?
I tried out, yeah. I did it as Hungry Hebrew. I did 30 potato pancakes for Hanukkah in 10 minutes. I did 2 pounds
Potato
of
pancakes?
Yeah. I mean, 5 minutes later I did have a reversal, but I had already qualified. No, I didn't.
Oh, that's very
I lost one time to a 150-pound Newfoundland dog eating ground beef out of dog bowls. I did not make it that year, but
They let dogs into the...
no, they don't. That was just either I'd get in or I wouldn't, based on how the dog did, and the dog was on a mission.
Interesting.
Yeah, he could not be distracted. I had no chance. He was done. I believe it was 3 pounds of ground beef in about 90 seconds. It was quite a performance. So you were saying other music that is a big part of your heart.
God, I just like it all, but in particular, God, Rob, help me out.
Okay, when you go back to high school and you say, if I want to evoke
Well,
those
the
years,
80s, you know,
Yeah.
as a genre is always interesting. And actually, I appreciate
We
it
were
much more
saturated
than
with
I ever
classic
did.
rock back then. That was before the grunge revolution
Yeah.
took off, and everybody was playing Zeppelin and Star.
Oh, is that
Guns N' Roses weren't until like 87 or 88.
Yeah, it was late. It was.
What was that radio station?
WMMR, WYSP.
which no longer exists.
Right.
WIP.
Howard Stern used to be on YSP.
I remember when he came on, it was like, I remember it was fall '86 because he was talking about the Mets and winning the World Series, and he was talking about Darryl Strawberry and his big black cat. My dad was giving me a ride just a little. It's just kind of awkward.
Well, speaking of the Phillies,
He was a
Tucker
doctor.
Braun.
Yeah.
Tucker-
Yeah, but I don't think he's seen a live patient in about 40 years because he just looks at their X-rays. But yes, still is, and he'll be a radiologist until late June, though he may work a little bit more in the summer. He's finally retiring. Yes, yes. You were saying? I'm sorry.
Oh, Chuck McGraw was the father of Jim McGraw, the country star. He was in the lead country for the Phillies in the series.
Yeah.
Who was it?
80. Come on. What year was it?
Do you remember?
Anyway,
when
he had a house in
Of
Rose
course.
Valley. He had, my mom sold his house. That was her biggest sell. Really good. And I worked in his yard.
Okay, that was a big yard. That was a lot of work.
Yeah,
Long
he
day of
was
work.
in Nunziata.
And somebody cut a hole in his roof and robbed him blind. I remember that one thing.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it was an interesting factoid.
I did not know that.
Or event.
I saw Mark a couple years ago. He came to our reunion, though. He was a year behind us in high school. But he was at the Strathaven '89 reunion.
Where'd you go to?
It's a bar in media. It's
Some bar in the.
Jocelyn's, I think it was. Yeah. It
I've been there once.
was, media is the county seat in
I worked at
Pennsylvania.
Jocelyn's. I was a busboy, and I was sitting. I was really hungry. I was sitting. I was eating a piece of bread, and the guy was the owner. I forget his name. The guard, that blonde-haired guy. He comes up to me and he's like, "Get that piece of fucking piece of bread out of your mouth.
Really?
If I ever see you with a piece of bread in your mouth, you go to the kitchen with that."
Really?
Bitch me out. Yeah.
For eating a piece of bread while
I was
you're
like
on the
18
job?
years old.
I would think one would be a better worker if one is sufficiently nourished and one would be able to get the job better.
Well,
That
he
cost
just
him
wanted
like a
to eat in
nickel.
the kitchen instead of.
Oh, okay. All right. He probably did it.
So you did a big stint on Jeopardy, right?
By big stint, if you mean 44,200. And the IRS added another 3,000 for my trip for when I came in second and I lost. Yeah, I actually lost based
Do
on
you remember
stupid
the
bet.
question you asked?
Yeah.
Well, what's that?
It was.
See if I can get it.
I may get it wrong. This was recorded in late October, early November. I guess that day would have been November 1st, 2000. The category was flags. And I bet stupidly, by the way. I was a little bit behind. You can watch it yourself.
Flags for 40,000.
Well, I mean, you don't let the category enter your mind. It's just not.
Let's go.
I bet stupidly in the end. I should have bet less, and I would have won when we both got it wrong. But it was this country, and I'm getting the wording a little wrong, raised its new flag over Parliament Hill for the first time on February 15th, 1965.
All right.
Its new flag, first time, February 15th, 1965. Well, they were making up a lot of countries because colonialism had just ended. But I'm not telling you one way or the other there.
65?
I didn't get a hint. What do you mean?
Come
Give me a
on.
hint?
I'm not a Jeopardy champion.
Well, I'm not either. Oh, I wasn't that day because I didn't know the answer. You either know it or you
What
don't.
was it?
It actually caught me off guard. But over Parliament Hill, so you know it's probably not, what's the country you mentioned before, Djibouti, which I supposedly knew the capital
Oh,
of.
British colony, I guess.
Technically it was a British colony. It was, what is
Middle
Canada?
Oh.
Canada?
Yeah.
Oh, no. I never would have gotten that.
I never
I
would've
apparently
gotten
wouldn't have either. I mean, you'll never know until you were in the situation I
How did you
wasn't.
feel when you
I was
did?
pissed. I was pissed.
I could kick the trash
I
can.
mean, I was lucky to even win once. The fact of the matter is I wasn't that good.
How much
And
Chucky right?
yeah, Chalky, right.
You
I remember who he is, but I don't get the reference.
Well, he had trash.
The only people who are still watching at this point are Strathaven people.
We grew up with him, and he was always quick with the trash can joke. It was just
Yeah, he was teaching a gym class, and he was talking about tennis elbow, and he was like, I didn't get mine for playing tennis, but from throwing a garbage can. You know, he did that.
He kind of had to know him too.
I think he passed away 2 years
Yeah,
ago. but-
yeah, he did. Yeah, I've talked to his daughter since.
With Shannon? Or?
Yeah.
Yep. Let me ask you, any memories of teachers?
Mrs. Golden, did you ever have her?
I don't even remember who that was.
She was a math teacher. Who else? There wasn't very many good ones. I attribute to my...
Mr. Smith, the
Math
music teacher?
teacher.
Oh, no,
Oh,
the
the
math
math
teacher. I was
teacher.
thinking
I
of
went-
the
she was-
Six, we're gonna rub them out.
Meg was in
Bobby
my-
Hauser.
what was that?
Bobby Hauser.
Bobby.
Yeah, he was like New York.
Oh,
And somebody wrote on the, because he used to always go and look out the window, and somebody wrote in like shaving cream or other Smith is a asshole.
But you got Renzulli, and then you got Repetto, you got... Oh yeah, Renzulli.
Wait, Renzulli was assistant? No,
He's
who was- I can't even remember who he was. I didn't have him.
Social... No,
He's a history teacher.
Yeah. Yeah, he was my predecessor. You know, he came before me, obviously. And so when I got in his class, he's like, Mr. House. I'm like, oh no. But we made a good
Who was
impression.
the Zacco's sister?
Lisa.
Yeah, well, she used to sit like, you know, she would sit in this one place and you'd be like, move over a little bit, you're gonna spoil my view.
He said that? Can you imagine doing that today?
Yeah, you couldn't do that today. At least
Really?
well, that stuff you couldn't do today.
No.
Edo used to call black guys on the track team darkies. I know.
Really?
Yeah.
Mandingo.
He did?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't know that.
And who was the guy, the gym teacher who used to bench press like 300 pounds?
Brewster? No.
No, not
Little guy.
Brewster was
Mad.
Oh, he was a soccer coach too, right? No. His son played
maybe at
soccer,
one
I think.
time. And then there was Moriarty.
Mortini.
Martini.
Yeah, I had him a couple of years. I liked him.
Yeah, he kind of jostled me around a couple times. But, and then there was who's the guy who worked at Springhaven?
Bob Powell.
Bob Powell.
Oh,
Scott.
Yeah, he passed away?
You know, a while ago.
Never had him as a teacher, but he didn't have the best reputation. Like, I heard some complaints about him.
Yeah, he was abusive.
What kind of things did he do?
Oh, one time he jacked me up by my hair. He took me by the hair and jacked me up on the wall just because I touched him.
Really?
Yeah. But anyway, still no.
Things were different back then. You didn't have Canamuccio as a math teacher, did you?
No, I did one. Yeah, I did.
He had a temper, like a little Italian guy. Like if you were talking too loudly outside his class, he would. I mean, it was a little guy, but man, he did not mince words at all.
There we go.
Yeah. I believe that was the case. I don't remember who had his other class.
My friends had him.
You didn't have Profeta, did you, for biology?
Yeah, I think I did.
Mr. Ford. I know Mr. Ford did one.
He passed away.
He did?
I think that was just in the last 2-3 years.
He was a character.
He was a track coach. He was. Yeah, he was. It is the right guy I have. Yeah, he was really well liked by the people who had him, and I remember the girls on the track team were particularly, you know, I don't want to use the word fond of him, but really just respected and admired him, and they just thought the world of him. But he passed
Yeah, he was
away at a
cross
fairly.
country.
He was kind of like Brody through Jaws, wasn't he?
A little bit. He had more sense of humor.
Oh, that's the Dreyfus character.
He was a little
No,
extrovert. He was a
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Brody. He was a performer.
We're gonna need a bigger book, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Come on, Adam.
I'm not. It's been a long time since I was on Jeopardy.
And you lost.
I won
He was
3
talking
times.
about
but
he was talking about the placenta and stuff, and he put this big tube in his pants. He's like, now the umbilical cord. He's walking around the class. Yeah, he was a funny guy.
Wait, who did that?
Mr. Ford.
Oh, Mr. Ford. Okay. Profeta was a little
Profeta was
weird
the devil.
crossing the line.
He was the devil. He used to smoke Vantage. You know, those, the filter had 3 or 4 partitions in it, and you would sit there, you know, that's back in the day where you could smoke in the school, you know, funny enough, and so he'd have his glasses on like this, you know.
Oh, he did do that.
And he had the devil's, you know, beard, and he would sit there and just cough and look at you like, Hauser. Like, oh, God. Yeah, Bueller. Anyway.
Anything else we want to...
Who's plucking this chicken anyway?
Who's what?
Okay, now it's the editor's job.
Oh yeah, I'll see. You watch whatever. Hey,
It might have been interesting.
Yeah, let me see if anyone that commented or is even watching. Come to think of it. Oh, Steve Warren's on here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Steve Warren. Another name I don't recognize. Steve Warren. Oh, he was the after your time. He was 3 years younger than I was. Yeah, he's a hell of a player, soccer player. What do you think of Trump so far? You wrote a song about him, sort of like tongue in cheek, but pretty admiring.
I'm kind of the mind that it takes there's a learning curve to being president. I think everybody should give him a little space because it's quite hard to figure out. But one thing that bothers me about him is he's a bit of an egomaniac. I mean, anybody who runs for president has got a big ego.
Yeah.
But he is just like off the chart.
I think that's an understatement. Let's just leave it at that.
I hope he succeeds. I hope he does.
Oh, everybody does.
That's great. That'll be great for the sound
That's
here.
called the Florida Symphony.
I never heard that term before.
Because it goes off every 5 minutes because there's so many decrepit here.
I voted for Obama twice, but I admit to being I was kind of rooting for Trump in the primaries just because I liked watching him demolish some of those other candidates. Like everybody thought Jeb Bush was going to be the candidate. I remember in Time magazine it was, he raises $1 million every 50 minutes. And, he's just a money-making machine. He's got a bigger war chest than in history.
$1,800 for every vote he got in New Hampshire.
And just watching, the low energy and all. I mean, that was just a little market. Just some of his kryptonite.
The low energy Jeb was good because it was so. I mean, one of us could have come up with little Marco, but low energy Jeb was. He came up with that, and he was right. He was right, though. You can't do that all the time. If you can't put an insult on someone and have it stick unless there's some truth to it. I think, and that was true. No one had thought to call him that before.
It was recognized that he was less than stellar.
Trump was like the master of the news cycle. He knew exactly how to make it so that there was no oxygen for any other candidate. Like every day he would say something outrageous and the press would explode. Like, oh God, he said this. Like he said about John McCain. Oh, it's all over. His campaign's over. And the next day he'd say something else outrageous. Everybody would forget about what he said. Really nice.
With McCain, I think the average person, and I was in Arizona. I covered one of the rallies there. People really don't like him. But he's like such an example of someone who's gotten where he is by privilege. I mean, yeah, I'm not taking anything away from the fact that he served in the military, but he was in that position because of who his father was as an admiral.
And I went to military school. I don't know.
It was at the bottom of his class. He only got in there because his father was the admiral.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
Yeah, I love when he says, "Oh, I got a small one."
He's one of the old lions.
Trump? Oh, yeah.
How much was
It's kind of like Ted Kennedy. You got to go to
Oh, McCain?
Yeah.
No, but I don't think he started that as early in age. Ted Kennedy, but he died, I guess, before he was 80. Ted Kennedy, I think, was in the Senate by the time he was like 35, maybe? I may be wrong, but I hear you. What else do you want people to know about your world, your life, anything? That is it? Say hi if they're in the Tampa Bay area?
Yeah, I don't think any of them are, but hi.
Rob, any final words you want people to know? See how you're doing after all these years? I mean, obviously we talk funny here.
I have a gun to my head. They made me do it.
Always keep a litter bag in your car. It gets full. Toss it up there.
It's a garbage man. Trash man. Come on.
Hey, you guys, Neil?
Neil? Nah.
Looking for Neil for the cleanup job.
No.
Gonna give me a job. My name's Neil.
Man, you walked it.
Actually, speaking of your job, these guys could use some flyers. Not the place to joke about that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's blasphemy.
Yeah, they're pretty bad.
Well, they've always been.
No, they
Except
haven't.
You're
You're only 2 years older than I am. I mean,
You're right. They haven't always been bad, but it's my perception that they have been. It's an Eagles hangover thing. It's like just Philadelphia teams tend to be subpar.
Sixers are coming along. Something's going to go wrong, but they got some young talent.
I've been following basketball.
I haven't either. My dad just recently informed me that
Your dad's a tall dude.
He's what?
He's a tall dude.
Yeah, it tends to work that way. He's about 6. I don't think he's even lost that much height yet. He's 73 years old, but 6'1".
Oh, that's pretty small.
Yeah. I was gonna say no with the Phillies. Here's a step. Yeah. I do want to point this out. I had an Aunt Mildred, a relative actually by marriage, my grandmother's cousin's wife. She was widowed. We were close with her until she passed away maybe 2 years ago. And I remember I promised her I'd watch the first playoff. She lived for the Phillies, especially near the end. She didn't have much going on. And I watched the Roy Halladay no-hitter with her because I had said in July I'm going to go watch the first game of the playoffs with you. It was the no-hitter. She was so excited. But she's been a lifelong Phillies fan. And I think she was born in 1916, maybe. The Phillies did not win a postseason game until she was 60 years old at any point. That's hard to do. Not one game.
Right.
Because they got swept in 1950 by the Yankees. Then I think they got swept in '76, but in '77 they managed to get one
There's
from the
something
Dodgers.
about Philadelphia in the whole Eagles was winning.
The Eagles got the Super Bowl in 1980 and they lost.
What's going on?
I know exactly what I want to ask you guys about. This is something, and I think your personalities are such that you would probably agree with me. When you're from the Philadelphia area, at least you're from Delaware County, you can't really be BS'd by people. That's something I've noticed. Like as I've lived a lot of places, you can't be snowed by people. Do you think there's a truth to that?
Yeah, actually, the most that I get is, or the most prevalent thing that I get is people just don't understand my personality. Like I'll curse incessantly and be, slightly belligerent, and they just don't get it. And
I mean,
they're like, you're
it's a no-brainer, though.
It's like, yeah, well, I'm from Philly, or I'm outside of Philly, which I'm not from Philly. I grew up, a lot more.
Right, but we're 10 miles. Yeah, but that doesn't matter because
Culturally, it's,
in our high school, there were people with such thick Philly accents. I took it for granted back then, but now, there are like 3 people in my class who I've seen in recent years who just have the thickest Philly accents. They're right out of
I
Extras
love
and
to pick
Rocky.
them out. Like you sit at a bar and somebody starts talking and you're like,
Do you remember Janice Potts?
Yeah.
Liberato?
Yeah.
She's recently
I
remarried.
was friends with Doug for a long time.
That is an accent.
Yeah.
Do you remember a guy in my class, Billy Morrison?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah,
I think he's number 1. Like, no one's got a Philly accent like he does. It's like classic. And John Cerrone, who I don't think went to our high school, he probably was older brother. He ended up going to Pencrest for high school, but he's 100% Italian, so it's easy to have that. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still friends with a handful of people. But I talked to my friend Victoria Brennan, and she, it's just undeniable. You're like, oh, you got a Pennsylvania accent. It's just, it's endearing because.
But people don't really get the Philly mentality.
No, and it's not the most prettiest qualities, but it is undeniable. It's just, it is what it is, but it tends to get a little surly around the edges.
Yeah, but I mean, you just grew up that way. You take it for granted. That's just the way people are, but apparently not in the rest of the world.
And just the nomenclature, like just the speak. It's like you don't even realize that you're like F this, F that, and people look at you like, what's going on with you? I'm like, nothing,
It's the way people talk. Oh yeah, I'm conscious of the way I say coffee, water, all that stuff. But the rest of the world that pronounces it. Yeah.
Is your family still involved in performance?
Well, it was my immediate family. It was my dad's extended family. Just my second cousin, and it's only in Richmond. It hasn't been in Philadelphia for
I thought it was
like 10 years.
born and bred there.
It was born and bred there, but they couldn't make it work. The unions in Philly don't matter. And I think also, Philadelphia has such a good restaurant scene. I don't know why that is exactly, but there's such a strong restaurant scene that you have to keep it up. You can't go, I remember the Inquirer did a story on them, and it was a tough review called "Resting on Faded Laurels." And someone asked my dad what he thought of it. He said, "I agree with it." And but they've made it work in Richmond, and I think there's a tourist-oriented waterfront. He's still down there. I don't know how they chose Richmond over other places. I think they tried to do something down at the shore, and yeah, it's the shore, by the way, when you're talking about Jersey, and in Atlanta. But Richmond has worked. They were. I mean, but my great uncle owned it. It had a great reputation for everything. Like Sinatra used to come there.
Yeah, it was huge.
Oh, it was the place to
Sinatra
be.
used to come there?
In fact, there was a story, and I remember it well. They had a Hall of Presidents. One of the rooms had a picture of like every president up there, and Sinatra. I mean, I don't know how he managed to pull it off, what he did, but it was a different era before us. But he indicated clearly that he would like his picture. I mean, he was sort of joking, but he sort of wasn't. You know how he was. I don't remember which one it was next, but he wanted to be included in there, like just so people would just look and see, okay, there's Chester Arthur, there's Millard Fillmore, there's Franklin. Wait, what the hell is he doing here? And it was there. It was literally, they just stuck him in there, like matter of factly, as a joke. But when Sinatra comes to your restaurant, frequently, it's a good thing.
He's almost worthy.
Are you a Sinatra fan at all? Either?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Some mob bosses.
Yes.
Sam Giancana.
I imagine he had no issues with the union in part because of friendship with Sinatra and people like that. It made things a lot easier for bookbinders to operate through the years. I don't know these things for sure, but
He was highly political. He was firmly entrenched in the whole Kennedy side.
But he wasn't one party or the other. I don't think.
Yeah, he just
sort of
like
like
race like this. He actually offered to help Jim Morrison out when he got busted in
His
Florida.
lawyer,
Yeah.
Really? I don't even remember what the story was.
The story was that Dick Root was a famous Hollywood lawyer, but he apparently called Jim Morrison's lawyer and said, like, hey, we're going to get your boy out of the country. So they just drugs? No, when he exposed himself on
Never saw The Doors.
He didn't
Never saw
actually
The
do
Doors.
it probably. But
Never saw the movie The Doors. It's on my list. Wait, he exposed himself on stage?
Yeah, supposedly. There's some debate about whether he actually did or not. He was kind of like pantomiming it. It kind of people really took off with like people like you didn't see the show where like there was like a decency
Picked the wrong city to do it in.
Yeah, and then later he on a flight to Phoenix going to a Stones concert, he got in trouble for getting drunk on a plane and explaining the rest of the stories. That was really fun. Yeah, that'll get you in trouble.
Yeah, especially today.
And he was with the actor Tom Baker, who played Rasputin. He played Doctor Who and played Rasputin.
Wait, that's your thing, right? Rasputin, you have share with the people a little bit more of your expertise before we wind this down.
He's written like a whole book on it. I think there's some political allegory as far as what's going on today. Just like people feel like there's this big bloated bureaucracy that's out of control. And, little people are getting screwed, little 1% is getting everything. It's kind of a little bit of that.
But where does Rasputin come in?
He's just fascinating. He was a fascinating character.
Do you like the Boney M song?
Oh, I like that. I think it's brilliant, actually.
Pretty good
The
song.
strings, the disco bass, and then the little, the lyrics are kind of unrhyming, some of them, but the little, what they put in there, like, with the Moscow chicks, he was such a lovely dear. Like
I've got to think these through. I'm not as young as I am as young as you
I
guys.
thought it was modern, and I found out it was
70s.
Yeah,
It's
I was
totally
like,
disco.
wow. I know, but it sounded like production-wise and lyrically and musically, it sounded like current day.
Now I'm thinking about what things didn't rhyme in there. The thing I get about that song, remember?
Preach the Bible like a preacher.
Yeah, that's generally a good quality to have. No, the thing I always get that throws me off in that song is remember how toward the end of the song they say, but then his drinking and his... You ever watch The Simpsons? Is that not the voice of
Oh,
Principal
no,
Skinner?
it's a predecessor to a lot of things. It's like
No, it really is his voice. It really sounds like the same guy.
Oh, okay.
Listen to it sometime.
Okay.
Principal on The Simpsons. But his drinking, yeah, it's like they're trying to make it into a
And
morning.
his womanizer
About
thing
this
is
outrageous, man.
Google Boney M. Rasputin. Rah rah Rasputin, lover of the Russian queen.
killer song.
That was a cat who really was gone.
Well, yeah, and then they slip the poison into his wine and then drank it all and said, "Oh, fine."
That's a rhyming.
Yes, dude.
Oh, here's a question I have. This is a thought that occurred to me. I think I can tag you on Facebook for this one. If you think of Studio, you may be old enough to have gone to Studio 54 at some point, but if you were in the 70s and like, I mean, we're not going to say whether you're coked up or not, but if you were in that whole scene.
Were you?
No, I was, I left the 70s 8 years
No,
old.
okay.
What's, we're all too young, but like what songs come to mind? For me, it was like, what song would be in your imagination if you were in that scene? It was Love Hangover by Diana Ross for me. I heard it and I
Yeah,
said,
you posted
that
that.
song Freak Out.
yeah, but you're just saying that because it was inspired by
Yeah,
Studio
yeah, yeah.
54.
Oh,
the
well, it's
Bee
gotta
Gees.
be
It's by the
MJ.
Bee Gees. The Bee Gees were huge.
That's true.
Don't
Just
stop.
go
or
with the
whatever.
I'll stop talking.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind
Saturday
of
Night Fever.
Wait, did you ever get to go to Pulsations? the two
Yeah,
nights?
yeah, you mentioned that the other day, and I was
Yeah, I
like,
was just
oh
a
my
little
God,
too young.
I totally forgot.
I want to
about
hear
that.
about that because you were probably, your parents were a little looser because you were the youngest and I was the oldest, so
they
you know
were
how
very
parents can be
loose,
with that.
But
And you're 2 years older anyway. You got to go to teen night for
did
that?
you ever go to the what was it called? The Black Banana? What's it called?
What's the Black Banana?
It was a club in
It was really
South
called
Philly.
that?
Yeah, it was like a
That's a
Black
little
Banana.
obscene.
I remember one night I got stranded there. I was there with it was
I
horrible.
was stranded.
I came out at 3 in the morning because it stayed up like after hours, and it's in this backwards alley, and I had no ride, no money, no way to get home. I was like, oh no, and these two black girls picked me up. They're like, you need a ride? I'm like, yeah, I need a ride. And they drove me all the way back down to
Was that?
yeah.
They must have liked your house. They're like, damn, you live
Well,
here?
yeah, they insisted to come in.
Oh, I'm
It was
sure
like
they
3
did.
in the morning, and my parents were asleep. And I'm like, all right, well, come on in.
Did your mom didn't make spaghetti like in
No,
Goodfellas?
they didn't
You know what I'm
we
talking
were
about?
there. They didn't know we were
All right,
there.
I'm
But,
kidding.
yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, it's a funny story. I haven't thought of that in a
I
while.
remember on the tennis team with you, I
You were
made,
on the tennis
yeah,
team.
but I was good by junior year, but you would have been gone before then because you were 2 years older. I remember at Friends Central, the girls really liked him. Some girl came to watch you and like basically picked you up because you played singles. You were double. I mean, you were playing before me.
I was horrible. I mean, I was good, but I was.
You were varsity
horrible.
though.
I know, but he was
better than me.
We didn't practice much either.
It's a boring sport. I mean, if I played soccer, I wouldn't have played tennis too, but I wasn't any good at any sports I even cared about.
It was always too windy.
Yeah, it was in the spring. It was always the sun was always in your face, and it was always cold and windy.
And who was the coach? Big tall.
Lavin.
Yeah.
Say it again.
John Lavin.
Yeah.
Supposedly a really good teacher, but I never had him as anything but a tennis
He was
coach.
hard on me. He was like, man.
For tennis or
Just in
did you have
general.
him as a teacher?
No, I never had him as.
Oh, he said, oh, you could be a really good tennis player if you just work a little harder. That
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
thing.
That kind of thing, yeah. And that's true,
But like, he's a state champion soccer player. Who cares about tennis, right?
another.
Of course, you knew you were moving to Florida, you worked harder at tennis back
Is that where we are?
then. Right? I just remember some girl was like checking you out and like you had the most minimal work. We were like in awe. Like, really? You guys doing that? Because I played after you. I was I think probably the last doubles on varsity that particular day, even though I was really on JV sophomore year. But I just remember, you don't remember this. It probably was so matter of fact, hey, that happened at all the schools, right?
Well, no, it's just.
Especially Ridley, right? You don't remember that particular time. Well, we all did.
What did I do at Ridley?
No, I'm just saying Ridley would be. I picked one out of my butt there and just said, whatever. The girls were a little more forward at Ridley, I would guess.
Yeah, it was a little more
Rough.
collared.
Yeah.
Collared.
Friend Central was snobby. All right, let's wrap this up. Let's see if anyone has any questions for Scott and Rob. Otherwise, we're done here.
One person watching. There's nobody.
We got a few. They'll watch later. All right. Thanks for watching.